I'd like to point out that all the sessions are closed captioned and recorded. Although you can see and hear the panelists, you as attendees are muted and cannot be seen. We do see who has signed in, however, and we'll be able to communicate with you if you need information. We also have a chat channel that is dedicated to tech troubleshooting. During the panel discussion, the Q&A channel will be working, and you will have the opportunity to post questions by typing them at any time during the presentation. Just click on the icon in the bottom menu, and we will record your questions during the discussion and pass them on to the speakers once they have finished their presentations. Patrick, you ready?
I am. I want to welcome everybody back again today. We're excited to start day 2 of ArtLinks 2021. This morning, we're going to have a great conversation with, we've got a great panel to talk about the economic and arts, the creative benefits of festivals, local festivals, and how they can benefit your local creative economy. We will be talking later. We'll have Ron Finley, the gangster gardener, is going to come and talk to us about the transcendent creativity of gardening. And anyway, it's going to be a great conversation. It's a great Thursday. It's a beautiful day outside in Arkansas here. And just welcome all of you to be with us. And let's kick it off. Let's go ahead, Jess.
Okay. The first session this morning, as Patrick said, is the economic impact of arts festivals. And we're excited to have panelists discuss ways that arts festivals and events have successfully boosted tourism in the arts and culture in their cities. I'll let them tell you more about their programs, but to introduce them first, we have Jon Chadwell, who's the Executive Director for the Newport Economic Development Commission, who has been actively involved in helping using the arts to develop a rural Arkansas community. We also have Heidi Knochenhauer, who's the grant writer for the Sonny Boy Blues Society, which presents the world-renowned King Biscuit Blues Festival in Helena, Arkansas. Heidi attends blues festivals around the world to market the Delta Blues region and the King Biscuit Blues Festival. And I think joining Heidi is going to be Moni Jordan, who is the ED of the Blues Festival. Hey, Moni. We also have Mary Zunick, the Cultural Affairs Manager for Visit Hot Springs. Her job responsibilities include working with the Hot Springs arts community and the wide array of arts activities, businesses, and organizations that have come to Hot Springs. So, Jon, if you're ready, let's start with you.
Well, good morning. Thank you for asking me to be part of this panel. We're pretty excited about the arts efforts we have in Newport and Jackson County. We started our festival about 13 years ago, and it was a visual arts festival. We started really through a project with the Clinton School of Public Service. A group of their students came up. We wanted to engage an arts component as part of our overall economic development and downtown revitalization plan. And so our first year, we had 17 artists. We had about 180 people come through the festival, and we were really pumped up and excited and felt like that was just a huge turnout for us. And if you fast forward this year on the visual arts side, we had just under 200 visual artists that set up and displayed at the event. And we ended up having close to 3,000 people who came through the festival to see the arts. But we decided a while back that we wanted to become a multidisciplinary arts festival. So instead of just visual arts, we have kind of purposely added some other components. We got together with a group in town who had been doing a kind of a literary festival. And so in addition to the Delta Visual Arts Festival, we added the Delta Festival of Books. They run concurrently. And so we started with about 5 authors. This year we were up to 35 authors who come, set up, sign, do readings, and all of that kind of thing. And then we added 3 years ago the Delta Musicians Showcase. And so we have grown from 3 concerts to at the show this year, we had 31 different concerts over the 2 days with musicians from all over the state and a few from out of state that were participating. And then this year we added our fourth component, which is the Delta Silver Screen Film Fest. And so we showed movies for the first time. We have a new venue that we are creating that will be a performing arts space in the downtown area, taking an empty retail space, and that'll be the home of the Delta Silver Screen Film Fest. All of those run concurrently. So all are held on the first full weekend in June. And we have a ton of volunteers that come in and help, obviously. Our festival is, I think, different than a few other festivals in that we don't charge. So, and we don't jury. We don't charge anything for the booth space to show your film. We do pay the musicians a little bit to play, and the authors, we don't charge them either. Part of our mission, part of our goal is to nurture emerging artists in Arkansas and to empower them. And while we have some extremely well-established artists that have been part of our festival for a long time, we want to bring in those people who maybe they're only doing it on a weekend, maybe they're doing it as a hobby, maybe they want to do this and they're just kind of getting their feet wet. And so typically about 25 to 30% of our artists will be, or artists, authors, or filmmakers will be experiencing their very first festival experience at our festival. And we have had several who have kind of outgrown our festival. They've gotten their reputation, they've built their reputation, and they've kind of outgrown our festival. And we kind of celebrate that. That means that we help them get to where they wanted to be. So as far as the festival generating any money for our downtown group, for our economic development organization, it doesn't. In fact, we raise, it costs us between 35 and 40,000 to put on all 4 festivals simultaneously. And we raise that money from sponsors every year to put on the festival. Now, it does have a huge economic impact in the city. Our hotels are completely full that weekend. We initially went to a one-day festival. We found out that a 2-day festival does not involve a whole lot more cost. It does involve a lot more work, but not a whole lot more cost. But the economic impact to our community really quadruples if we can have a 2-day festival as opposed to a 1-day festival, because we have a whole lot more people who will stay in lodging in town, who will eat in town, and we see it spinning off to some of the communities around us. We don't have enough hotel space in Newport to handle everybody who comes to the festival. So Batesville, Searcy, other towns around us also see an economic impact. One of the economic impacts we measure is how much is sold by the artists, the authors, the musicians, and even the filmmakers are allowed to bring copies of their films and sell them on DVD or Blu-ray if they would like. And this last year, the artists that sold just under $200,000 worth of arts in Newport. Now, we're a town of 8,000. We do collect sales tax on all of that, so that's a pretty good benefit to the community as well. But really, I think our biggest return on investment is not necessarily the money that it brings in. That's nice. We consider that kind of the gravy on top. Part of my job as an economic developer is recruiting both businesses and expansions to town. And when you're trying to do that, the reputation of your community is a significant factor. How are you going to get people to live in town? How are you going to get people to see your town as a viable place to raise their families? And having the arts as a vital component of your community is just huge in that aspect. So we see the Arts Festival as branding Newport in several ways. One, we brand ourselves now as somebody who is significantly engaged in the visual arts, the literary arts, music arts, and film arts. And people look and they say, well, it may be a small town, but they're doing a film festival, they're doing a music festival, they're doing all of this stuff combined together. Plus, we then take the folks who come and participate, the visual artists, the authors, all of them. We feed them meals while they're here. We provide anything they need that's within our power to provide. And we train our volunteers that we want to make sure that those artists authors, musicians, filmmakers have the absolute best experience possible while they're in Newport. Because if they do, they'll go out and then be ambassadors for us. And when somebody says something about Newport around them, they're going to go, oh, let me tell you about their arts festival. Let me tell you about the experience I had. That's the most wonderful place. They just treat you great. And they become really unpaid advertisements for our community. And we had, when we counted last, we had 228 different towns in Arkansas represented by a creative person that was in Newport for that weekend in some capacity. Well, it's wonderful to have ambassadors for your community in 228 towns in Arkansas. People who think Newport is a great place, who've experienced the best that we have to offer, and who know that we really do appreciate and care about arts. And so as big as the economic money side is, for us, that branding and advertising side is even more important. Because as we work to recruit people into our community, as we want people to live here, as we want to bring new business here, that is such a vital aspect. And so if we can have that tie to folks, it just makes all the difference in the world. Plus, then it does a benefit for us as well. We are a Delta community, as I know some of the other panelists are from. And so there are a lot of folks in our community who really don't have the opportunity to go to an art gallery. They don't have the opportunity really to go and meet the people who write books. They may go to the library and check them out, but actually meeting the author who wrote the books, they don't have that opportunity. They don't have the opportunity to go to a whole lot of concerts. And they don't have the opportunity maybe even to go see films on a regular basis, especially films that are a little more artsy in nature. And so we are really providing for our area and for this region the opportunity for folks to be able to see some things that they wouldn't get to experience. And then not only to see the creativity, it's neat to go to a museum and see a great picture, a great piece of art and look at it and go, wow, that's amazing. What's even better is to talk to the person who created that and learn about why they created it, what they were thinking, what inspired them. Because when you do that, you begin to learn how the creative process works. And so part of our mission is to nurture the next generation of creative people in the Delta area. And you have to nurture creative people. You have to let them be exposed to creativity. They've got to see how it works and how people think. And they also need to see that this passion they have for writing or drawing or making music is actually something that if they stick with it and if they work, that they can make a living from. And that really inspires them. A lot of times, I think young people who aren't exposed to that, they can draw, they can make music, they can do these things, but they really don't have the hope that that's going to lead anywhere. And so they give up on that dream and it just kind of gets put on a shelf. And I've seen a lot of people who put that dream on a shelf. They've worked a 9-to-5 job and then they don't even pick up the paintbrush again until they retire. And then they start again. Well, this hopefully will let people see that creativity and the creative process and being involved in the arts ought to be a lifelong thing, not something we just get to do when we're young or when we retire, but that it can be something that we can do to express ourselves for our whole life. So those are some of the returns on investment that may sound softer to folks, but the creative economy is huge now, and we need to be tapped into that as a small rural community, and that's what we're trying to do. I think you're muted, Jess.
Correct, I am. Um, I keep doing that. So, I will repeat what I just said. It's really wonderful to hear you talk about what's developed in Newport because when I first heard about this a few years ago, I thought this is such a great idea and it just keeps growing. And so kudos to you for helping keep this growing and spreading out. I had asked Heidi with Sonny Boy to be here because the festival was actually scheduled during when we were doing this conference. And I thought it would be really great to have Heidi talk to us while the conference was going on and while the festival was going on, but apparently this has not happened this year either. And so I'll let them talk about the way this is affecting Helena and growth of the festival, and let them introduce themselves. Heidi, ready? You're muted. You're muted again, Heidi.
Yeah. Am
There
I
you go.
good? Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Heidi Knockenhauer. I've been the grant writer for the Sonny Boy Blues Society for about 14 years. I love the blues. I love Helena. This is Money Jordan.
Hello.
She's the executive director of the Sonny Boy Blues Society, and they have a variety of programs. Well, they first started in 1986. Main Street Helena wanted to promote economic development and tourism. So the Sonny Boy, they got together because many of the blues musicians are from Helena, and they would tour the world and come home from touring from the summer, and it was like a harvest time, and they just wanted to have a big old party, but let's have a little festival. And it was a one-day festival, and they just had, people in town, maybe like 50, 100 people. Well, one person came. His name was Robert Gordon, and he was a writer for the New York Times. And he went back to New York, wrote an article about it in the New York Times. And next year, 500 people came. And they were just, oh my gosh, where are these people coming from? And then it just kept growing. And it was also a one-day festival. Then they made it 2. Then we had 3. And then in the last probably 5 years,
Yeah.
5 years, we now have 4 days. And we did that, as the other person said, it brings people to town to spend money, and we are growing more tourism, and we have people that come from Australia. We've had people come from Timbuktu. We have tons of Swedish people, Norwegian, Japan, Italian, French, Denmark. We have people that come from all over the world. And the King Biscuit Blues Festival was free up until 2008. We couldn't survive any longer as a free festival. So we still have 5 free stages and 1 main stage that's ticketed. So people can still, of Helena can still hear the music and enjoy everything. And then we have the ticketed stage to help keep the festival going. And it's not very expensive. We do increase it every year, but it's not that bad. And unfortunately, last year we did have to cancel the 35th King Biscuit Blues Festival due to COVID. And I don't know if you know, the population of Helena is 11,500, which is very small. And this is the number 1 tourism for
Yes.
Helena. And we've done the numbers, and it's brought in over
Over 25,000 people over 4
yeah,
days.
yeah, and over a
Yeah.
week, $1 million. And
Oh, yeah.
the taxes, and it helps everyone. And we're actually in the Delta Cultural Center. And because of the King Biscuit Blues Festival, well, it all starts with the King Biscuit Time radio show that was started in 1942. So King Biscuit Blues Festival was started because of the radio show. And that's where we're at. We're inside where they have the radio show every day. It's the longest running blues radio show in history. And Sonny Sunshine Payne was the announcer, and he passed away a few years ago. He was, I don't know, 97.
Something.
Yeah. And
Oh.
Thomas Jacks is now the announcer, and it's every day. King Biscuit Time radio show is from Monday through Friday from 12:15 to 1, 12:45. So we like to think, because of the King Biscuit Blues Festival, the Delta Cultural Center is here. The Arkansas Parks and Tourism Heritage built our main stage. It's a permanent stage that we get to use every year for the main stage. And then we have stages up and down Cherry Street, and vendors, and we have buskers on the streets. So buskers do pay $25 to sit up, but they get to keep all their tips. And they can make up to, just on tips, like $1,500 to $2,000 a day. They love to come here and busk, and they have a really great time.
Yeah.
But okay, so we canceled last year due to COVID, and this year we were hoping to have it, but in August the numbers went so sky high. and the hospital was at capacity. And we
Had to make a decision.
we had to make a decision because people were coming from Europe, and we had to, they had to know, do we need to get tickets? What are you doing? So we had to give everyone advance notice if we were having it or not. And we believe in safety first, and bringing everyone to a town of 11,500. The hospital was already at capacity. It would just, we could kill an entire population. I mean, because not everybody is vaccinated, unfortunately. And as a festival, we cannot require everyone to be vaccinated. We can ask them to wear a mask in the main stage, but however, we already have 5 free stages. So we can't manage the free stages because everybody would come. So we had to make that decision. And we also started a new festival a few years ago. We were having our second, we had to cancel it last year, but it's called the Delta Roots Music Festival. And we decided to have it in April when the weather is good, and bring, tourism and have different themes. Like this year, we'll have it next year, is called the Levon Helm
Tribute.
Yeah, Levon Helm Tribute. So it will be styles of Levon Helm, because Levon Helm from
Turkey
Scratch. And he would actually, as a young kid, listen to the King Biscuit Time radio show, and he would listen to the music, and that's how he started drumming. Okay, so we do have some good news. Today is the first day in Phillips County.
Yes.
We have 0 COVID cases. So this is the first day since the beginning today we have 0. So we're happy, we're grateful. More people are getting vaccinated. Sonny Boy wanted to sponsor a vaccination clinic, and they hope to do that as well. We've also created it's called the Biscuit Bash. We created a pandemic music plan that we can control at smaller venue, reduced amount of people, no more than 50. Everyone has to wear masks, or be vaccinated. And we are supporting the musicians because they need the help the most. So we have an opening act and then the main act. And we've had 3. We've had 3. And it's been going really well. And the artists are so happy to play. And so we've been doing that in the meantime, just to keep everything going. We have to keep going. And the musicians need our help so much because most of them are not working or just starting to get back to work. We did keep our Blues in Schools program going. It was on Zoom, and our instructor, David Bernstein, did the whole session on Zoom, and it was great. He did it, the music teacher, the kids were involved. Horner Harmonica donates harmonicas to the kids, and they love it. Usually during King Biscuit, we have a cumulative activity on the main stage with the students and their harmonica, and they play music. And David told me one time he was walking down the street, and one of the students saw him and got really excited and came up and hugged him, and he pulled out his harmonica and started playing it for David. So the kids, we know the kids have to experience the music, and that's why we have the free stages, so they can still see all the music and, the Blues in Schools. And then we're, doing the event in April to, conjure up more tourism money. And we, Helena is small. Helena's population is decreasing. However, some artists are moving here, and, and we now have a vodka distillery called Delta Dirt. So that's owned by a Black farmer. He's from Marvel, and they grew their sweet potatoes. Yeah, so they made vodka out of sweet potatoes. It's pretty remarkable. And so we wanted to talk about canceling King Biscuit, and Money should talk about how is it devastating, Helena? Here's Money.
Hello, and yes, we love King Biscuit, and we realize the sun is shining today, and today would be the first real day of King Biscuit. 35th one, but we're trying to not look, we didn't have a crystal ball to see how it was going to be right now today. So everybody's kind of, oh gosh, what is going on? But we've already decided it can be a plague next year. Don't worry about it. We're having King Biscuit no matter, because of the devastation that this pandemic has put on Helena, Arkansas is devastating. I will tell you that. Some people make their entire living the month of King Biscuit. They bring so many people in town. If you don't have people to buy, you don't have the money to live. And that's what's happened during this pandemic for us. And people have been moving out. And one bright star, though, we did have one family move in away from a very busy area to Helena, and we're promoting that too. So it really has taken a toll on us, simply because the one thing Phillips County really can hang their hat on is King Biscuit Blues Festival. This is the one thing that we have. It's established. It's been going on for 34 years. Hopefully next year will be our 35th. And just bringing people to town, people to buy gas, people to rent our rooms, hotel rooms are completely full. Clarksdale, Memphis, all the casinos. It's just a widespread economic development situation. Oh, Clarksdale, absolutely. And Clarksdale, being a close partner of ours, have festivals going on, like after parties. After King Biscuit's over at night, they'll have something going on. So it has been a tough 2 years, decision making and economically depressing, and we are going to have King Biscuit Blues Festival, I promise you, in 2022. Just go to our website, buy your ticket right now, and you can come on in. We want you down here. So thank y'all for having us on here, and hope I've got my pen right here. That's a note, music note, and I'm taking notes on what everybody else is saying.
Okay.
I'll hand it back to Heidi. Thank goodness for Heidi and all the things she's kept us going, and you all have too. So we thank you for everything. Come
Thank
see
you,
us.
buddy.
Come back to Helena.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting. There's certainly the energy down there to try to keep this growing again and keep it going back. So I'm real excited to hear both of you talk about it this morning. Let's go on to Hot Springs. Mary, do you have things you want to talk about? The Hot Springs has a big festival in the spring, but I think Mary wants to talk a little bit about everything that's happening down there.
Hot Springs Festival. It's a hot springs.
Okay, I unmuted. There we go. Thanks so much. I was not looking forward to going third to talk about economic development at an arts conference. So I was really nervous about this, but it's been great because I have my notes right here to go check out Leave on Helm. I'll be at Newport next year. So I'm glad to go last on this one. And I thank you for letting me be a part of that. I do have some slides I'd like to share, if that's okay, to share my screen.
Sure.
Okay, let's see here. Need to do, how do I do that? Does that show up for everyone else?
No.
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 We're hitting
Is it set up that way so that I can so that I can share my screen? Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. I appreciate everyone's patience. And here we are. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for bearing with me on that. I want to share with you a little bit about the economic impact of Arts in the Park, and kind of how we came to Arts in the Park and the economic impact. Our festival really exists to help and support the local artists and our cultural economy creative economies here locally. So we'll walk through some of that here. Arts in the Park is put together by the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance. That is a nonprofit organization, and the main mission is to celebrate, advocate, and promote the arts and culture in Hot Springs. It was kind of restructured out of another arts organization that was here. A group of us got together and looked at what does our Hot Springs arts community need, and restructured the mission statement. And so all of our arts festival really tries to go back to that mission statement. How are we celebrating, advocating, and promoting the arts here in Hot Springs, and promoting Hot Springs as an arts destination? And some other things that we do within that mission is we do quarterly networking meetings. We partner with public art so that art is there and visible in our downtown through murals and through other public art projects. We promote other arts events that are going on here in Hot Springs. So we're kind of an umbrella or a partner organization. We do not charge memberships for individuals, artists, organizations to be a part of it. And so we just try to all work together to promote everyone's arts activities are happening in this area. And then we try to provide arts events too. It's been tricky during COVID, but in the past we've brought Arkansas Shakespeare Theater and others here in Hot Springs. And so how we ended up with just like the culmination of how the Cultural Alliance can serve our arts community is through an annual arts festival. And that arts festival is Arts in the Park. The first year we did it back in 2015, it was a weekend festival. We called that one Year Zero because we were just given a little trial run. But it has grown into a 10-day celebration of the arts, all of the arts, whether it's dance, poetry, theater, and of course our galleries and our visual artists who live and work here in Hot Springs the other 365 days of the year, or I guess 355 days of the year outside of the festival. So we try to build in components of the 10-day festival that focus on all of our local arts. And when I say the festival includes events that we, the Cultural Alliance, put together, but in our calendar of events and our promotion, we include all of the other events, whether it's a performance in one of the local bars and restaurants that's going on that week, anything that happens, our Wednesday night poetry that's been going on for decades. We of course include them in the calendar of events in the goal that people will make the trek to Hot Springs and then just enjoy many days of arts. If it's 10 days, if it's a full weekend or part of the week, we also do workshops for our local artists and to highlight our local artists with guest artists. In 2020, we had this planned actually before COVID even hit. We built in a temporary outdoor art exhibit. And I mentioned that I'll try to highlight on how this benefits our local artists or the artists who participate. We have a theme and artists submit their artwork along with that theme. We compensate each of the artists that are selected for the exhibit. There's no charge for entering, and we compensate each of them for making one reproduction of that piece of art. That goes down along our Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail, and it's there for about a year until the next exhibit goes up. So we compensate them, not a tremendous amount, but for making that one print. But on all of those reproductions, you'll notice there's a QR code down at the bottom. Now that QR code links to our page that gives more information about the artwork and the exhibit, but it's also a way that anyone interested in that artist can connect with the artist and purchase their artwork directly, so it's just a way to promote the artist, but we never ask artists to do anything for free, whether it's a performance or contribute artwork. We always try to compensate them for their work. Okay, Art Springs, this is the part of the 10-day arts festival that everybody thinks of as an arts festival. It's downtown, it's outdoor. We have a sidewalk chalk competition, music, poetry, artist booths. We ask the artists who participate if they please demonstrate so that we can so people can see art happening. In this last year, kind of the theme of our festival was honoring Henry Glover, a gentleman from Hot Springs, who was also a songwriter and very accomplished in the music industry. So we added another component to our festival to give local songwriters an opportunity to participate. So we had a songwriting competition. We have a book giveaway to try and bring families down. And we do not charge admission to this or most of our other events that we sponsor solely because we want art to be accessible so that families can come. People who might not normally go into a gallery, the same thing with the Art Moves exhibit. We want people to be able to easily participate and be a part of our arts community to make it approachable and accessible for everyone. One of the main reasons we chose spring for our arts festival, it was kind of a gap in our tourism here in Hot Springs. It was after racing was over, before summer tourism hit. So we chose spring. And it's the last weekend in April through the first weekend in May. The reason we chose that particular week is because Gallery Walk. We really want our Gallery Walk to be the highlight of our festival. So Gallery Walk is the first Friday of every single month here in Hot Springs. And so that's kind of the center of our festival week. So Gallery Walk, most of the galleries have a special exhibit, and we really promote promote that as an organization year round, but certainly during Arts in the Park, we promote Gallery Walk. And we don't charge galleries anything to participate in that. We do charge, I should go back and mention that too. We do charge a small booth fee for the artists to participate in Art Springs, but we do not charge the artists or the galleries for Gallery Walk. We do not charge artists to participate in studio tours, which is an entire weekend we furnish a map in our program, and we do a tremendous amount of promotion for all of Arts in the Park. And it just offers the public a chance to go out into the studio and meet the artists and see where they create their work. And I know artists have get really good sales for this and commission work as a result of having people come into their studio space. We've also branched out, thanks to 2020, to add some virtual events. And the nice part that we found about many virtual events is that they keep going. They are there on our YouTube page forever, so that we are promoting our arts events, our arts community, our festival through the rest of the year and for years to come. We've partnered with the library for many events, but especially for the virtual programming. So now the economic impact. I've tried to focus on, how we provide opportunities for artists to sell their work and to promote them. But thanks to the National Endowment for the Arts, they actually have an Arts and Prosperity Economic Calculator that helps us demonstrate to our Chamber of Commerce, our city, my boss too, how much it contributes to our local economy. So our 10-day festival, you plug in what your population is, what the festival budget is, and how many people attend. And for our 2-day festival, we had about 8,800 people attend in 2019. Of course, the last two have been impacted by COVID. So when you plug those numbers in, our 10-day festival contributes about $300,000 to our local economy, which is the equivalent of 7 full-time jobs and adds over $100,000 to local households. So not just the artists who sell their work, but the hoteliers, the restaurateurs, all of the local businesses of putting dollars in the pocket. So I would encourage all of you to go to the National Endowment for the Arts and find that they did a tremendous amount of research to put that calculator together. And so then I took it one step forward, because in Hot Springs, we're very fortunate that we have a tremendous number of festivals that happen in our city. So when you look at the festivals that happened in 2020, so this is, there's a few festivals that didn't happen this year because of COVID. Our creative economies, our festivals celebrating the arts and culture here in Hot Springs contributed over $1.3 million to our local economy, 35 jobs, and these are conservative numbers for this. So I can't wait to share this with our Chamber of Commerce and the City of Hot Springs and Visit Hot Springs, who I work with, of exactly how much those dollar signs, garner a lot of attention. But we want really Arts in the Park. It's more than just a festival. As was mentioned earlier, it's about quality of place. That's the reason I live in Hot Springs, is because it's a small town, about 35,000 people, but we do have festivals and events and all of the activities that you usually find in a larger town. So we know that individuals and businesses relocate to Hot Springs because of that. We also want to provide arts experience for underserved communities, so that we can introduce and support the next generations of artists. And again, we want to support the members of our creative economies who've chosen to live and work here in the Hot Springs area. Of course, we want our tourists. We have over 6 million tourists a year come to Hot Springs, and we want them to have a great time while they're here. And having an arts event happening makes it a better time for them. You can also find out that, through research, arts and cultural tourism, people stay longer and they spend more money if they travel to an area for arts or cultural reasons. And again, we are an arts community 365 days a year, not just the 10 days of the festival. When people look at where they want to live or where they want to go on vacation, if they are interested in the arts, we want Hot Springs to be at the top of their list so that they can stay here, not just during the 10-day festival and enjoy the arts, but the rest of the year as well. And I think that is the end of my slideshow, and I'm sharing, and I'm back. So I guess that wraps up my part of it, and I hope nobody snoozed off during it. So thanks for letting me go on.
There's wonderful things going on in Hot Springs. There always has been. And so it's great that you're there to help sort of coordinate all of this for the city. So I'd like actually to open this up for Q&A if we have some. Scarlett, do you have some questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. I was kind of wondering how you go about starting up something like this. I mean, we've talked about sort of some of the logistics, but I was thinking more like monetarily. How do rural small areas sort of come together and fund at least a 1 or 2 day event, just starting out to have an impact on the arts community and the creative placemaking? Like if you were Atkins, Arkansas, or Hector, or Appleton, or I think Helena might have a better idea, but I'm just wondering about some of these really rural areas that might want to create something similar, but don't have the kind of population that Hot Springs might have.
So we have 8,000 people in Newport, and we just got together with some of the businesses in town that we thought were interested in the arts and asked them to sponsor. We came up with a budget. I would say from our experience, starting smaller and growing is a great way to do it. Like I said, we started the first year, we had 17 artists. The next year we had 34. The next year we had 68. And as it grows like that, your sponsors begin to see the impact of it and the value of it. And you can really sell it to them as instead of advertising, as making an investment. They're making an investment in the community, and they're making an investment in the lives of the artists in the community and in the area. And I think a lot of them will buy into that. We've had really good experience with getting. One thing I didn't mention too is we do free workshops for kids. We do painting workshops, sculpting workshops, music workshops, and we even had a filmmaker workshop for kids this year with the Film Fest. And a lot of our sponsors bring their children to that. And if you get people's children fired up, then they're a lot more likely to give money to an event as well.
Have you looked into any grants or government funding? Like I know like some of the counties, I used to be a reporter a lifetime ago, but some of the counties and quorum courts sometimes will fund some of these programs. Is that something you would recommend?
I think if you think they're open to it, I would. And the Arkansas Arts Council has some wonderful grants. We've taken advantage of those grant programs as well to help get things started. In fact, I think we just got another collaborative arts grants that we're very thankful for, and those have been vital to what we've been able to do. And even the Arts on Tour grants can let you do some things at a significantly reduced cost over what you could. We have our economic development office is publicly funded by a 1/2-cent sales tax, and they put money into the art show as well because they see the economic benefit out of it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the plug too. We do have a lot of grants if anyone wants to check out our website, or Jess is here. He is the guru of grantdoms. So also I did have another question, but this one's more about looking into the future. It seems like COVID has sort of created a new world in a way. I just wondered how you think festivals will be affected in the future. Are we looking at hybrid festivals? Are we looking at some sort of new change, or will everything go back to the way it used to be? That's for the whole panel. I'm just curious.
At our festival, I think it's been exciting because it's forced us to look at new ways to reach audiences. Virtual programming reaches far beyond anybody that could physically be here in Hot Springs. It also makes it last longer in that it's permanently floating around on the internet for people to come across, or accessible from our webpage. So it really expands the opportunities for those who may be at home and not able to travel or attend, that can safely enjoy it from their own home. We've even been able to use some of our virtual programming of studio tours in classrooms. Local art teachers have been able to have their students visit local artist studios virtually without ever taking a class trip. So I think it's, and the outdoor art exhibits, outdoor activities, I just think we've really been able to do a lot of that. And also, I've just got to throw in there too, and I should have mentioned this, of course, sponsorships, but Arkansas Arts Council is a fantastic resource for connecting with other artists, and the grants, of course, help us do that. But I mean, all of the event today and so much more is possible thanks to the Arts Council. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think a lot of people, especially starting off, are a little intimidated by the grant writing process or the grant seeking process. Do you guys have any tips or encouragement words of like, you can do this, to help people out?
Okay, Jess is a very patient soul, is all I can say. He's been so helpful of us from the very beginning, that the very first grant that we put together, we do a committee approach to it where we have someone write the content and some others who are on our committee go back through it, just so there's more eyes laid on us to lay on the grants to submit. So that's kind of what we do.
I found all the people who give grants they want to give the money. It's not like they're trying to hold it back. And so my advice would be, if you're unsure, call or email and say, here's what I'm thinking. Does this fit? Does it not fit? Does it work? And ask those questions, because I've never found anybody who is a grant making organization who resents the questions. In fact, they want the best possible grant, so they're going to answer the questions. And if what you do doesn't fit their mission, I would rather know that before I spent 25 hours working on a grant than afterwards and then find out it doesn't work. So I think just the first thing I'd give anybody starting grants is read the grant request thoroughly, and then ask all the questions you have before you start writing the grant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me
Never-
throw in also that,
Yeah.
that one thing that we want is that we want you to have a very clear idea where you want the money to go. Always come in with a proposal that our money is going to help you do this specific thing.
Mhm.
That's
I'll
what
just-
panels always look for that.
I'll just throw in as, as representing the grant making agency that, what John said is exactly right. We're in the business of giving away money, and which is not a bad business to be in, I gotta tell you. Because I worked for the legislature and people didn't appreciate me at all when I was there. I'll tell you, we're taxpayer funded, and the money that we get either comes from the Arkansas state taxpayers or the federal government. And I don't want at the end of the year, I don't want a dime of that money left over. We are in the business of funding projects because you are doing the work for us. So I appreciate your philosophy on that.
I want to throw this, the question that you were talking about with the changing the way we're doing festivals in the future, back to Heidi and money over there, because I can see, particularly you have a lot of international people that are attending the event and doing things more virtually or something, making it more digital for pieces of the festival might broaden your audience again at this point. Have you thought about that in the future?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, yes. For the pandemic music plan for the Biscuit basket that we've been doing, it's been live streamed so people can log in and watch it. And then we also upload it to, not YouTube, is it Vimeo? We have an online, which is attached to our website,
Okay.
so they can view it at another time. And during the festival, I hope we can live stream it. But see, a lot of you musicians in their contracts won't allow that, just because they don't want their money, their music sold. So we are not allowed to video. We would love to do it, but a lot of musicians can't videotape it. We might do it at other stages because it does work, but of course we have to get their permission before doing it.
I think you would have to set up a specific kind of thing with agreements with the artists so that this is what this is going to be.
Yeah. And then sometimes in their contract, they just say no. So we always, of course, read their contracts. So, but it's been a great learning experience with the whole, we had to use Money's phone because she has more bars on her phone than I do. And that has been, hard in different rural areas trying to get internet or service. So actually Helena is trying to aren't they getting mass Wi-Fi or some?
Oh, they were talking about it. And we
Yeah.
don't know if that
Okay.
will come to fruition.
Yeah,
but
so that would help.
Definitely talking about it.
That's true. Internet is very difficult to get in some spots of Arkansas.
Yeah.
But thank you for mentioning that. That's a really good point, especially when you're talking about hybridization of festivals. I want to move on to a new question that we just got in. When soliciting sponsors, what do you suggest offering organizations in return for their monetary sponsorship? What do you offer sponsors, such as advertising, social media, shout outs, booths? Like, what do you give them in return? So give us some donations and we'll give you X. What are some options?
Money is good.
What we do with that, with our sponsors, and this is how we raise 90% of our income comes from sponsors. And basically what the big draw for us is with sponsors is the amount of people here. They want a bang for their buck. If their name is out there on the back of that stage, then and 20,000 people see it over a period of 4 days, and we run their ads on 2 big screens on either side of the stage, and that's worth everything to them. Now, the other things we give them are things that are perks during the festival, like depending on how much they give us, we give them that wristbands to get in the VIP tent. We give them the opportunity to sit in an enclosed area right in front of the stage that nobody else can get into. We have parties in the VIP tent every night with food and drinks, and where they can gather with their friends or their employees. And if they're really what we call our golden biscuits, then they have an even special area in the VIP tent where we actually have bartenders and that kind of thing. So it's basically getting their name out around the world, because remember, a lot of our visitors are international. So we like Slim Chickens, for instance, that they're everywhere around the world. So it's important for them, their customers, to see that they are, even in small areas, large areas, they want their name out there. So basically, I would say bang for the sponsor buck is getting their name in the media. Remember, we're a small town, as we said, so we don't have major newspapers to put it out there. So we give them newspaper ads here. But the biggest thing for us is for them to get their name out for all of our visitors to see, and then just the special perks that they get during the festival. If that answers, does that make sense to you?
Yes, I think it does. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people are a little bit intimidated to go in and ask for money, or even know how much money to ask when they do go.
Well, a good thing about me is that it's not intimidating to me, it's exhilarating to me to go in and ask for money. So we know before I go out, I do background work on who we're calling on, and I say, okay, what do I think in this area in our festival that they would just love to sponsor? So as we said, we have 5 other stages. So if I go to Budweiser, would you like to sponsor the Lockwood Stackhouse stage? And we would. So find out the things that they like. Year ahead, they can sponsor your 5K run or whatever. Just find the people that with their name would mean something to the people there. Gospel stage. In the past, Roller Citizen has, Citizen Funeral Home has gospel stage. So you have to pair things in your event with the person or the company you're going to see. And then we have found that a lot of people, or for us, for our festival, we give them 3 to 5 year contract. That's sustaining King Biscuit Blues Festival. If we go in and say, we'd like to ask you for $25,000 each year for 3 years or 4 years, that's $100,000. But that keeps us going if they sign their name. We know we've got $25,000 coming in for 4 years. So that's been a real ticket for sustainability for us.
That amount of money just blew my mind. I'm sorry. It did. That's amazing. Okay. I think we could have an entire Get Smart workshop just based on the things that you're saying. Thank you so much for sharing.
Let me share one thing. If I could weigh in here, one thing we did, we had 3 festivals going on in town and a summer series. And each of the festivals was going to the same people, asking for money, and so what we did 2-3 years ago is we combined everything in the fundraising. So now we just have one fundraising effort. We go one time, but we put on our outdoor stage where 90% of the things happen. We put up a sign that stays there for 1 calendar year with every sponsor's name on it. So the sponsor's name is there all year long. And so anything that happens in the park, so if you are a platinum sponsor of one thing, you're a platinum sponsor of everything. And our platinum sponsors give $10,000 a year. And they also get one of the summer events named after them, 4 different programs. So like Grangus Americas has 4 different summer events that are named after them, or activities that are named after them. But they really like the fact that the sign is up in the park for 12 months, and that whether people are just visiting the park or whether they're there for an event, their name's up there for 12 months, as opposed to what we were doing before. They had 3 weekends. So they had 6 days in which their
Yep.
name was up on the stage. Now their name's up on the stage for 12 months.
That's a good idea. I
Uh,
like that.
Thank you so much. And that is a wonderful idea. Thank you. I really appreciate all of the content that you're giving us. I have one more question. Would you recommend centering a festival around what is unique about an area? For example, I guess blues, Helena, Johnny Cash, Northeast Arkansas. Like when you're creating this festival, are you looking for something specific or unique about where you live or the community that you are serving?
So that
Yes, like for example, we created the Delta Roots Music
Yeah.
Festival because there's not just blues here in the Delta. Johnny Cash, we've got country, Levon Helm,
Conway Twitty.
Conway Twitty's right there. So all this Billy Lee Riley. So you have all of these musicians and they're not necessarily blues. So, I mean, King Biscuit is a blues festival. So we wanted to incorporate other music and not during the same time as Juke Joint Fest in Clarksdale. So we created the Delta Roots Music Festival to incorporate other music that is happening in Arkansas because it's here. Arkansas has amazing music and people don't know about who exactly has come from here besides the blues.
And that Delta Roots will be April the 9th, 2022, and it will be a tribute to Levon Helm. In 2019, it was a tribute to Conway Twitty. Both of those people grew up here in Phillips County. So that's why we are tributing all of that to them, the Delta Roots music.
Okay, that's great. Mary, did you want to add anything? I feel like I've maybe left you out a little bit.
Ours kind of, we try to celebrate all of the arts because it's not just visual arts that, I mean, we have multiple artist studios, but we try to include other ones. Of course, we have Wednesday night poetry. So we try to kind of spread it around, but each year we do have a different theme. So it kind of highlights a different facet of, like this year, we really focused on the songwriting and adding that component and weaving in the contributions of two gentlemen from Hot Springs, so our Hot Springs heritage into this year's festival. Next year it'll be on the theme will be artwork inspired by the unique heritage of the artists. So each year it's a little bit different theme. So there's some variety and it changes from year to year.
Okay, great. And we did have one other question about whether viewers could contact any of you or how they might ask extra questions after, because I think we're about to have to wrap up, but is there a way if people have other questions that you might be willing to take those questions? Email, I don't know.
I'm happy for anybody to contact me. hotspringsarts.org is the Cultural Alliance website, and there's contact information on there. If you want information about volunteers, our volunteer coordinator has been with us for a long time. If you want, there's different contacts on there, but of course you can always contact me by either email or a telephone call. It's going to be a busy next few days. We have Documentary Film Festival opening this weekend. So just a little shout out to Doc Film. 10 days of all documentary film, the oldest in North America that's all documentary film. So we'll be busy with that, but you can catch me on the phone in between films.
I put my email and my phone number in the Q&A, so feel free to call or email. I'll be happy to visit with anybody.
Okay, and if anyone needs to, we can always contact the Arts Council staff, and we would be happy to answer questions or take, at least direct you where to go or find out the answer. If we don't know, we will find the answer. How's that? You can find the staff on our website. And are there any other questions or thoughts that I failed to ask anything? Is there anything I should have asked that I haven't?
Scarlett, I'll just say this is a panel that throughout this conference is especially near and dear to my heart because I met Mary Zunick the first week I was on the job here at the Arts Council, and Jon Chadwell, I met him a few years ago, and he's the growth that we've seen in Newport is just amazing. I mean, both, it's a year-round event now. I mean, just in terms of of the support and the attention that you give to artists. You know, and then certainly, you know, Money and Heidi are, you know, you all are building a scaffold that allows, you know, artists to grow on, and that's what I appreciate on behalf of the Arts Council. Thank you for all your work. You're great partners.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
support. Couldn't do it without you and all the grants.
And let me also thank everyone, the panelists, and for this has been an outstanding session, I think. Really wonderful comments. And thank you all our attendees for listening and asking questions. So if you have any other questions or you want to share more information, please write them in the chat box or send them to us and we'll try to get them to other people. The final session today begins at 11 a.m. and it's going to be featuring our ArtLinks 2021 keynote presenter, Ron Finley, the leader of an urban gardening revolution in South Central Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
We want you to please use the Zoom email link we sent you and join us back at 11. So have a good morning.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I like the poster behind you, Jess.
Oh, well, thank you.
Woo, you need a new one.
Give him a COVID one.
We'll send you
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
We have a
Okay.
COVID one. We have a COVID one from last year
That's
that
good.
all the critters have masks on. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
a little frog is painting in blue ink, canceled.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
send it.
send you one.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you. Bye.
Careful. Yeah.
Thank you. How do we close it? Well, that was fun.